becoming. So welcome everybody. Today we are in session number 15 of our class, and we continue talking about test documentation. And what I want you to understand here is test documentation is the single most important issue, or let's say subject area, when it comes to an interview. About 25–30% of all the interview questions are related to test documentation, number one. Number two, test documentation is something which might happen to you right away or might happen to you after a while, but most of the companies do have test documentation one way or another way. And when I say test documentation, I do not include bug reports into test documentation. They are part of the test documentation, but it is kind of naturally created documentation. I didn't mean bug reporting. It's a separate area to me. When we talk about test cases, it comes to situations where they ask you, okay, how would you test this? How would you test that? What if you do not have enough documentation? What if? And that is the real world kind of situations, and that is how you get or you do not get a job. So what I'm trying to say, the test documentation is the most important topic we cover in our preparation to the job market attack, okay? Now, we do have second quiz. The first one, test documentation number 1, we did last time. And some of you actually did the test documentation 2 for today's session. And let's see, so far I have just 4 people completed because of the server being down, I believe. So we have 4. Okay, it does matter. We have to look at typical interview questions, which we have on that page, and we can look at your answers and we will come up with the right ones. So it says, write test cases for required zip code field. Let me run Notepad and we will produce test cases before we actually go to the to your test results. So it says, we have zip code field which is required, and that nature of the zip code field, that it is a required field, it means just one thing. We have to see what happens if the field is empty. So what do we expect? We expect one way or another way, we expect to see some indication of the fact that it is a required field and you cannot keep them empty. That is pretty much what the situation is about. But when they ask you, how would you test zip code field, it is just another field on a form. Let's say we have a form, and that form collects your zip code and street address and first name and last name and certain areas of interest. What do you want this? Do you want that? How much of this? How much of that? What's your credit card number? And so on. So it is just another text field. So first we are looking at zip code field as a text field. And each and every text field, so let's say text field, each and every text field deserves one test case for the class. So class is what we have in between boundaries. So we are applying 2 methodologies to produce test cases. We discussed it last time. So one methodology is called equivalence partitioning, and we have one test class per class. And if we think about a zip code field, and we think about how many characters or whatever characters you can type in, so we call it capacity. So we have just one class. So let's say zip code field should not accept more than 5. It should actually allow us to type more than 5. And so we have boundaries. On one hand, we have equivalence partitioning with the class. And then we have boundaries. So one boundary is 5, and it cannot go to 6. So 5 is the maximum number. But then the question is, okay, what is the lower boundary? Can it be 0? Can it be 1? Can it be 2 or 3? And it comes to the fact that zip text field would have one test case for the class, and in whatever situation might happen there, the class is in between boundaries. Let's say if it is a year. So what is a year? It's in between 0, 0, 0, 4 digits, 4 zeros, and current year, for example. So that is the class. But what are the boundaries for the year? 0, 0, 0, 0 is one boundary, and then something negative, so below 0, 0, before Christ. Let's say we do not accept anything before Christ. So then we have just one test case. We cannot test another boundary. I mean another side of the boundary. So it would be one test case for the class, and then we have two test cases for upper boundary, and we have two more test cases for lower boundary, up to 2. Could be just one. Let's say if you cannot really try it on another side of the boundary, if you cannot go negative, let's say it says month, and the values are from 0, 1 to 12. So you can try 0, 0, but you cannot go into, let's say, -1. It makes no sense. So sometimes you can exercise boundary from both sides. Let's say 0, 0 and 1, 0, 1, you can type. But if it accepts 0, let's say days, not months, but days. And actually they also cannot do that. Well, okay, so it could be up to 5 test cases. But for the zip code, when we look at capacity, zip code field, what do we have? We have the class by itself is 5. It doesn't allow anything like 4 or 3. It shouldn't. The valid value for the valid number of digits in the zip code field is 5. 4 is invalid. 5 is invalid. So what do we actually have? We have 5, which is positive. So 5 digits. 5 digits is one test case. Okay, one test case is 5 digits. Another test case would be 6 digits. So we are going over the boundary, 6 digits. And what do we expect? We expect that only 5 digits are accepted. Then another test case, third test case, is when we go to 4. So 4 digits. Because 4 digits basically runs into unacceptable situation. We do not want 4. And to us, 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or 0 are pretty much the same. It means not 5 on the lower side. So, what we expect? We expect error message, which requires, more digits there. So now, that is capacity. But what about the fact that the zip code is required? So from the capacity standpoint, it doesn't matter if it is 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. They all belong to the same class, which is less than 5. But since it is a required feature, so now we have one more feature. It's a different feature. It's not related to capacity anymore. It's just another feature. And that feature would need another test case. So required field. Test case. And what do we expect? We expect error message. So we type, we leave it empty, and it comes with error message. That is what we expect. And when it comes to 5 digits, we expect it is accepted. Now, that is capacity, and then we have required field, but we do have another issue to test. And in that issue is valid and invalid input. And no matter which field we test, we have at least 3 test cases. So in our case, we have 5 digits. Then we have 6 letters. And then we have 7 special characters. And now let's see what is the expected result. Digits comes to digits. So it does accept digits. So accept it. Letters are not accepted. That is what we expect. Not accepted. Special characters not accepted. Whichever text field you test, you come with 3 test cases. What changes? The expected results changes. Let's say for last name, everything is accepted. Digits are accepted, and letters are accepted, and special characters are accepted if it is a last name. For email field, we looked at that, I believe, last time. So we said digits are accepted, letters are accepted, special characters are not accepted as a class. But some exceptions are made. So for each exception, we need 1 more test case. So that is what we have for zip code, what I would do for zip code. When you have some experience, guys, what you try to do, you are saying, okay, it doesn't allow me to type 6 digits. Yeah, it doesn't accept more than 5. But what if I paste 6 digits? It doesn't allow me to type letters. But what if I paste letters? So that way, you might find more problems. So you just have to know that when it comes to actual testing, pasting and typing are 2 different processes. And when you type or paste, it might not, the software might not turn on the functionalities which are responsible for validating the data. Okay, now let's take a look at what you have. Do we have more now? It was 4. Just a second. Yeah, still 4. Okay. Go and look at your responses. One of you skipped that question. Okay. Let's take a look at 3. Zip code field. Valid input, 5 digits. Zip code accepted. Good. So that is the one test case. Another test case says zip code field input 3 digits. Why 3? Why not 4? And the next one is input 3. Honestly, I do not understand how it might come to 3 digits. Zip code field input digits, error message. Number 3, zip code field input digits, error message. Why error message will come if you input digits? Zip code field, no input in the field, message, required field message. Zip code field input characters, error message. But why you have error message for digits, I do not understand. Maybe it was for what, I don't know. So when it comes to capacity, in that specific example, so we have 5, which is good. We have 3, which is not good. So we do not have 6 and we do not have 4. See? Coming with 3 without coming with 4 makes no sense. And I still have no idea if it will accept 4. So that is the whole idea of boundaries. Test case 1, 5 digits, good. Test case 2, 4 digits, good. Wasn't accepted. 6 digits, very good, wasn't accepted. No input data, wasn't accepted. It's a required field, no input, okay. Non-digits, wasn't accepted. Okay, that non-digits actually is 2 test cases, it's not 1. I mean, you can put in zip code field, you can put both letters and special characters, but you don't know what if it does accept letters but does not accept special characters, and you put both, and you don't know. I mean, you will never find it does accept letters. So you need 3 test cases. Letters only, special characters only, digits only. So that is the only way to go. So not bad. I mean, could be better, but still. Positive test, 5 digits. Negative test, A, boundary. B, not a digit. See what happens. We are talking about test cases, and the question here says, write test cases. It doesn't say, give me an idea. So because that one is an idea, negative test, boundary test. I'm not sure if it is really, well, negative, but it's okay. Boundary test, but boundary test could be 4 test cases. It could be 4 test cases. You cannot say A boundary. A1, A2, A3, A4, really, could be there. So not a digit. Not a digit could be letters and could be special characters. So it is not exactly about test cases. Okay, guys, let's go to the next one. And the next one says, how many test cases do we need to test email field? It's a big question, honestly. Let me tell you what I think about email field. So we just looked at zip code. Now we are looking at email. And let me tell you that email field is everywhere. I cannot imagine you testing anything without coming to the email field at some point. So what do we have? We definitely have 3 parts in it. So the first part, like mailbox part, it is called local part. Then we have @sign. Then we have domain name. Then we have dot, and 2 or 3 letters extension. So that is why testing email field is easy, because it's all written down somewhere. So there is a standard, and that standard is defined. You don't have to guess. You don't have to spend hours researching the internet. You just go to Wikipedia, for example. You go to Wikipedia and you say something like email address. My first attempt was email format. And then it doesn't have anything for email format, but out of a couple of options, it offered me. I said, okay, here is email address. Let's see. Email address. Let's see what it shows us. And come on, yes. Here is the page. Definitely some overview will not hurt. It will give you better idea. But it says, it explains domain name, server, DNS, idea, syntax. Okay, it's talking about syntax. Local part. And they say, okay, here are the rules for local part. Uppercase and lowercase English letters. And now you have A to Z and A to Z. A to Z is 26 letters. And then another 26 letters, which are uppercase. And you have to make sure it accepts lowercase and uppercase characters. Now, do you need 1 test case or do you need 2 test cases? You can do 1 or you can do 2. It is up to you. For example, I can come with an email address like, let's say, Mikhail Portnov @ and it does have, I mean, the local part, it does have uppercase and it does have lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. But the thing is, what if it fails? What if it is not accepted? Now, I don't know exactly if it happened because of uppercase or because of lowercase. So technically speaking, you can put all the positives into one test case. Let's keep going. It says digits 0 to 9. Come on, let's keep working on the positive test case. I'm saying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool. I have all of them. Good. Actually, it was talking about all the uppercase and all the lowercase. Instead of Mikhail Portnov, I can actually do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 and then 26 characters, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 another 26 characters. And guys, a local part could be very long. Could be very long. Let's see what it says here. The format of email address is local part domain, where local part may be up to 64 characters. Yeah, listen, I can put a lot into 64 characters. What I can also do, I can do characters, these characters, all of these, guys, are accepted. Copy, let me do it. I can include it all here, paste. And it is, see, I have just one test case, and I can say, let's say, portnov.com. Is it going to be accepted? And if it is accepted, I'm saying, cool. All the things to be accepted are accepted. I have no error message. But if I have just one error message for the email you have on my screen, then the question is which out of that causes the problem. And then I will start removing one by one by one. I will start deleting until I get something. So technically speaking, if you believe the whole thing is working properly, you can run just one test case with all the positives in it. But if it fails, then you go one by one. Then you need one test case per each character or group of characters, let's say uppercase, lowercase, and all that stuff. Okay, character dot, it accepts character dot. Then it accepts, there are certain restrictions, space and double quote and brackets and blah, blah, blah. So you keep reading and keep reading and keep reading, and each and every line there suggests you a test case. Then it comes to domain part. What do we know about domain part? It must match the requirements for host name consisting of letters, digits, hyphens, and dots. Okay. In addition, the domain part may be an IP address. It looks like, they have examples here. It might look like IP address, something like that. Might look like that. So you just go through the rules. What's important to understand when you test email field? So you have local part and domain part, and you have separate test cases for local and domain that you test valid, invalid characters. You test capacity. So when it says 64 characters for local part, guys, it should be 64, not 65. You have to try 65. And then it says there should be at least one character there, at least one. And it cannot start with dot, begin with dot, the local part. So, and you test all of that stuff. It might take you a couple of hours to read that page in Wikipedia and to come up with actual test cases. And remember, test cases look like the bullets here, bullet points here. So each of them here is an example of a valid email address. And then you scroll down and you have examples of invalid email address. What is that? Negative test case. Negative test case. Negative test case. Why is it negative? Because it has two dots, one after another one. Yeah? Why that one is invalid because it has dot before the @ sign, and so on. And why that one is invalid? It doesn't have any @ sign. So basically, they kind of started your test cases right here. They are coming with negative test cases and positive test cases. So let's see what you have. And again, guys, when you go to an interview and you deal with real-time restrictions, you know, let's say you have five minutes or maybe a couple of minutes, you just explain them the idea. You talk to them about local part and this part and domain part and capacity and certain rules. You might come up with a couple of rules like you cannot have dot and then dot, and so on. So positive test, no input data. That is positive. Positive test, no input data. It's not, I mean, what kind of positive is that? It is definitely negative test case. No input data is not what you expect people to do. Capacity test. Test for the domain part of email, test for the local part, plus test for the each special characters in the email. Yeah, well, the idea is okay. I just do not understand that positive test, no input data. That is very confusing, really. Okay, we need test cases for each type of valid and invalid local part. Very good. Each type of valid and invalid domain part. Very good. Few examples. Perfect, guys. When it comes with examples, that is exactly what people want to see. It tells them how you gonna do test cases in the real world. That is very important. Few examples. Test case number 1. Valid local part plus valid domain part as at Gemini. Locked in test case. What's locked in? I do not understand. Locked in. What do you mean locked in? It's an email, guys. We are not logging in. It's not password. Login password. Locked in. Okay. Test case number 2. Valid local part, invalid domain part. Okay. Didn't accept to log in. Okay, I understand what happens. So the person who did that visualizing email as a login name. Because in many places your login is your email. But guys, it's not about logging in into anything. So if we use emails for many purposes, invalid local part plus valid domain part, still there are many ways to make local part invalid. There are many ways of making valid the domain part valid or invalid. So that is exactly the test cases we need. We do not want any mimicking of login password dialog box here. It has nothing to do. It's absolutely unrelated. It's not about valid, invalid, invalid, valid, valid on the left, valid on the right. It's not exactly what we are doing here. The next one says information from some tester blog, MSDN, blah, 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 blah. Valid email address, reason, email, domain.com, valid email first name, valid email first name, dot, last name, domain.com, email contains that. It does have lots of nice examples, but when you go to an interview, so first of all, you have no way to copy paste anything from any blog. So we are not looking exactly for test cases. We are looking at you answering interview question, which is a typical common interview question. So how you will do it, and that is not the way to do it. We still want to know what you're gonna say. We are not investigating how to test emails here. It's a very minor issue, really. It's all about you answering interview questions. What are the most common components of a test case format? So guys, test case format is a test case format. And the question might come under different flavors. So flavor 1 is what are the test case components we do at the time of planning. Test case components we fill out at the time of execution. Here it says most common components of a test case format. So it says we don't care if we plan or execute, we just look at the whole thing. Steps to reproduce. Very good, guys. I'm impressed. So we do not have steps to reproduce in test case. It's a part of bug report. Very good. Test matrices. So test matrices are data collection mechanisms which cannot be a part of test case. Very good. Requirements. We do not have requirements in test case. Normally, I mean, you might put it there, but well, I don't know. When you put in your test case, when you put expected result there, it is a requirement. Basically, expected result is what requirements are about. So I would say requirements and expected result are pretty much the same. We do not need requirements. Use case. So use case is a requirement, business requirement. So ID. 100% are saying ID is there. It's going to be there. Yes. It needs some ID. Actual result. Guys, only 50% are saying actual result. If you think about test case format, it does have actual result. We do not fill it in at the time of developing the test case, but definitely we leave some room for actual results. Otherwise, we won't be able to say failed or passed, and that is the whole purpose of the test case. Expected result, we have 100%, very good. Purpose, yes. So what is exactly we are testing? Steps for bringing the application from default base state to the verifiable state, that is an integral part of test case. So not steps to reproduce, but steps for bringing the application from default base state when you just run the application to the position in which you say failed or passed. Those are the steps we are talking about. Yes, we need that. Sometimes we say instruction for bringing the application, okay, to that state. Very good. Format and style for developing test cases. The same format and style are used by all the companies. Definitely it is not the case. Not the case. And the software applications are different, companies are different, we are all different. So unless you work in certain regulatory environment, let's say under Food and Drug Administration, when they have requirements for everything, so then yes, there's going to be certain format to follow. 3-4 major formats and styles are used by most of the companies. Guys, maybe, but nobody knows about that. So there is no place where you can go and find out what companies are using, and then you research and say, hey, it's just 3-4 major formats. We might hope, we might guess, but we have no reason to make statements like that. I mean, we cannot justify that. Defined by each and every company individually. Absolutely. If company wants to have their own format, they will do it. Defined by each and every QA team individually. It might be the case, unless the company has a policy, and then teams cannot do it. But I would say normally you will not see limitations on that, unless you work in a company where everything is structured, but not many companies are like that. Defined by each and every testing project individually. Testing project could be the case. I was a QA manager in a company where we tested 2 different lines of products. So one line was personal information management software called Organizer, called Daytimer Organizer. I was a manager there. And another line of products was computer mice and trackballs. Guys, you can't imagine how different they are. So one is just a classic piece of software, Windows application, and another one is a firmware. And it has hardware. And it needs certain things to be tested which are unthinkable in software. For example, we had a robot, a customarily designed robot which would push buttons of the mouse to find out how many clicks it will survive. So definitely test cases for device, which is using some firmware software built in, and pure software application are different. So we'll develop the product first and then format and style for test cases. It is kind of ridiculous, and we understand that. What happens though, and I want you to be careful with that. Let's say you get hired by a small startup, and that startup started up 3 months ago, and they have no documentation, they have not much to test, and they might get out of business in 3 months unless they get another round of investment financing. So, guys, these people are not going to spend time and money on documenting anything. They don't even have requirements in a clear way. But then, let's say they survive and they get another round of financing, and then another round of financing, and at some point they feel more relaxed and they understand they are in business, and they say, listen guys, when we developed our application, we didn't have anything, but why don't we really start doing things the way it should be done? So, and they might actually ask testers to develop use cases, requirements, by looking at existing product, just to cover the fact they didn't have it at some time. So you might say, if the product is developed, why do they need test cases? For future development, future versions, releases. It might happen. It might happen. So in reality, everything happens. The probability is low, but yeah, it happens. Business requirement document defines the format and style for test cases. No way. Business requirements document describes how users will use the software. It has nothing to do with testing at all. Same format and style is used in use cases, so nobody supports that, which is smart. Format for requirements and format for test cases are different things. And the requirements and test cases are documents of different nature. We looked at login and password dialog box before. And it was coming, okay, give me positive and negative test cases. Here it says, write 3 or more positive test cases. So guys, let's see what you did, and then I will maybe correct. So login password dialog box, initial opening dialog box clear, no data in the dialog box. Well, so you're looking at the graphic user interface here. No data in the dialog box. It is not exactly what we discussed before. So we discussed what we type in and this and that, but we never looked at that perspective. Login password dialog box, input valid login, valid password, click OK. That is positive test case, guys. We login successful, we expect it to be successful. Good. That is positive. Login password dialog box, no input in the dialog box. Guys, you cannot have input in the dialog box. I mean, if you want, if they tell you either you input into the dialog box or we kill you, guys, they're gonna kill you. You cannot input anything in a dialog box. You can input in the text field, which is sitting in the dialog box. You cannot say input in the dialog box, guys. It's terrible. Click cancel button. Dialog box disappears. That is positive testing. Huh? Positive testing is what user is expected to do. And positive testing is for features which are there. Features, not cancel. Cancel button, if you don't know, cancel button is a default thing. You don't have to program anything. It's the same functionality as you press escape button on your keyboard. It is not really what developers are working on. So not something they really want you to test. Positive, and we did look at that before, and then at least you could watch the video we did before. So let's keep going. So that is a total failure, I would say, number one. Test case one, valid login, valid password, very good. Password is shown as bullets. Yes. Password, when you type it in, it doesn't show you the value of the password. It shows you bullets or asterisks, so it's hidden. And that is a feature. So we have to make sure the feature is implemented. It's a positive test. 3, cut menu or cut and copy. Yeah, we have both. Cut menu item is disabled. I do not understand the meaning of disabled. Is disabled. Why 2 times and here 2 times? It is disabled. So you cannot select and copy or select and cut password from the password field. Those are positive test cases. It says 3 or more, so now we have 4, and it's a perfect one. Yeah, perfect answer. At least in terms of what we teach you in that class. Positive test, valid login, valid password, good. Negative test, invalid login. Nobody asked you for a negative test. They asked you for positive, 3 or more positive. Guys, unless you understand the question, well, you cannot get much. They might correct you right away during the time of interview, but if you do that a couple of times, if you maintain that image of someone who doesn't answer the question, you're not going to get a job. I mean, accidentally it happens to all of us. It's not a problem, but be careful. And again, we are in competitive situations. They compare us with other people. What is the difference between test design and test plan? The way we discuss that is test plan is the most comprehensive document in software testing, which is about strategy, scope, focus, and schedule. It says it here. Test plan is about test strategy, scope, focus, schedule, resources. Test design is responsible for coverage. The idea of test design is to make sure we have nothing forgotten when we test. So everything is included. So what are the answers? Test design is about test coverage. Very good. I would say the last one is a good one. No difference, wrong. Test plan consists of 3 or more test designs, not true. Test design is a small group of test cases, wrong. Test plan is a large group of test cases, also wrong. Neither one is about test cases. It's much higher level of document. Test design is written by business analysts. No, it is written by testers. Test plan by senior QA engineers. Well, test design is about expected results. No, it's about coverage. Test plan is about actual results. So all the bad things are offered to you to confuse you, to tempt you. Okay. Describe test scenario. As I told you before, there are a couple of terms which are not professional terms. They are human language terms. And the test scenario is one of those. And we have 75%, so 3 out of 4, saying slang term to be avoided with no exact meaning. I say, guys, you have to avoid that. And sometimes I catch myself using it. But again, the danger of that is you might use it as a human kind of thing without trying to pretend it's a terminology, but people might think it's a terminology, or it looks like a terminology. Test scenario, test case, test suite. It looks like a terminology and it is not. So it happens, guys. We are all running sometimes into using it, but make sure you are careful. Okay. Especially it's not for interview for sure. Slang term to be avoided. Very good. Format used by business analysts to specify system requirement. Guys, business analyst cannot do test scenario. Business analyst does business requirements. Business analyst has nothing to do with testing. Okay. How many test cases we need to test list box with 15 items? here is the idea of the question. You all have the right answer here, so 100% right answer. Just one. And it comes to not to choosing from list boxes. For example, let's say, let's go to Notepad and we have list box here. Let's say font. So we have list box here. And it has God knows how many fonts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 1, 2, 3. God knows, 75. Okay. It has 75 fonts, maybe 100. The question is, when I push the OK button and the font changes. Let's see if it changes. Absalom. God. What? Oi, 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 oi. And it does change. So now, guys, I change the font, and it looks kind of, okay, Arabic to me. But now I tried Arial, and now I can do, let's see, well, let's say Bell MT. God knows what it is. Looks cute. But the question is, how many test cases do I need to do that? If I have 100 fonts there. And it is not about me being able to choose out of list box, because list boxes are provided by vendors of controls. So in Windows applications, Microsoft provides list boxes and all other controls. In web-based environments, so we have other vendors. Now, it's not a question. The question is, if I have it on a form, let's say, and when I select one and I push submit button on that form, and let's say it accepts California state. I selected California state, 1 out of 50. And that California state is saved on the back end. I can see it with my tools. It does go inside of the email, which goes to whoever it should go to. Now, the question is, should I try Nevada? Should I try Arizona? Should I try Alaska? Or one is enough? And so the right answer is one is enough. If it handles properly one, it will handle properly any other one. That is the idea. So you do not need 15 test cases. You need just one test case. Why they ask you? Because they want to make sure you are not going to do 15 times, more test cases if you need just one, so you do not waste time. Functionality with find text box. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the find text box in Notepad. Here is the find text box. It has two features to be combined. It has match case, not matched case here. Direction search up or search down. That is something you, basically we have a very small test matrix here. We combine direction and match, not match case. But the whole thing is about, searching. So first of all, we have certain test data, and let's say test data is here. That is something to be searched. Okay, good. We have test data. Let's say we intentionally created certain test data here to be searched. Now, I'm saying, okay, we have to make sure we are able to search and find things. Number one. Number two, we have to make sure we can do multiple searches. Let's say I search for the word test. Find. It finds one and it selects one. I can see the test result. But if I search another time, find next, find next, find next, see, I can do multiple search. But I am searching down and it is not match case. What if I do match case and I search down? It says nothing. What if I search up? Match case. It still works. Okay, good. For the purpose of testing, I would probably have to make it uppercase here and see if it will be found on uppercase or lowercase or this and that. Okay. Now, So when it comes to the test cases, what do we do? What do we do? We are saying, okay, test cases for find dialog box. First test case will be searching, let's say down, no match, no case match. Good. Let me copy that one. Copy, paste. Number 2, search up, no match case. Number 3, I'm saying searching down, case match. Copy. Number 4, search up, case match. Then I need one more test case for repeated search. We call it find next. Okay, find next. So we have to make sure it works. Find next. Then what else we have? We have if it doesn't find anything. So error message on not finding things. Then number 7, if you think about that specific dialog box, let's say I search for, let's say, Portnoy, okay. Find next, and it says cannot find. Good. But now what happens, after I searched once and I come and say edit, find, it remembers. It remembers my last search. So it comes with default value. So default value, which is most recent search string. And that is how you test the dialog box. You might say, yeah, we have also functionality which we looked at before in the form of button enabled, button disabled, let's say no data, button disabled, so you can play with that a little bit. So let's see what you have in yours. You have show responses. Wow, guys, we have a lot here. Empty text file. I do not understand what is empty text file. Control F. Okay, let's say run notepad. Okay. It's empty. Control F. Doesn't work. Control F cannot work on that. And it has nothing to do with find dialog box. I mean, find dialog box, we have to type something and then do Control F if you wish. And then it opens, but it's not how we bring the dialog box. It's when it is open, so how you test that? That is the question. One more time. The question says, write functionality, not GUI. So enable, disable button we don't want. For find text box in Notepad. Text box. So empty text file, text file with content. Control F, empty, text file with content, alphanumeric input, text file content. So the whole thing is not about searching, really. No match case, up. And then at some point it starts testing text with file content. What I want to say, when you open the dialog box, it is to me it is a serious problem. They ask you how you test dialog box, and you test the application how it invokes the dialog box. It's not how you open the dialog box. It's what you do when you are in. And then because of that, you didn't do much. You didn't focus on the dialog box. You focused on how to run it. And then you have just few questions on search, but it is about searching. Find text box, positive, new document, no input data, find disable. Same story, guys. I don't want that. I mean, really. It's not about how we open the dialog box. Test case 1, match case plus up, found. It doesn't have to be that, how to say, that detailed. The question is, what exactly would you try? They do not want you like 5 or 6 fields for each and every test case. Just give me 2. What you do and what you expect, or maybe don't even give me what you expect. What do you do? What are the test cases? Highlighted. Okay. Okay. Define equivalence class. So we have 2 people out of 4 who actually skipped that question. It is a class. Well, class is a class, not 2 classes or 4 classes. Class is a class where all elements have same specifics, such as all elements are digital or or not really. Class is a group of inputs, in our case, which result in same output. That is a class. Inputs with same output. That is why we want them to be in one class. So we take one test case, and that's it. Because they are all the same in terms of output. We don't have to test them many times. Set of inputs which results the same output. Yeah, that is what we are saying. In the ideal world, you will say because of that. Okay. So it allows us to take one representative of the class. When we do test cases, we do not need more than one representative of the class. The whole idea is in that. Okay, guys, I think we are good. And let me see if we have any questions. And let's say if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I will turn on your microphone. And I do not see anybody with a question. Oh, yeah, Eric. Okay. Yes, Eric, please. Hello? Eric? Your microphone is on. No? Okay, guys, if nobody is asking questions, so I'll talk to you Monday next week, and then Thursday, Olga will do the next project session. So it's my pleasure teaching you today, and so let's meet next week. Thank you very much.